Welcome to Cooking with Gerald. On today's episode, I'll be making collard greens with smoked turkey. If this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. And for those of you that are returning, I'd like to thank you for coming back and also for supporting. Before we get started, if you would for me, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you like the content that you're watching, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's take it a step further. If you want to be notified each time I do upload a new video, go ahead and click that notification bell on the top right hand corner of the screen. Now on to the video. All right, so today we're making collard greens. I've already got my smoked turkey. It's been cooking for like two and a half hours. So what I'm gonna do now, I was gonna actually cook them in a crock pot, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and put them in a big pot. The crock pot was cool for cooking the meat, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the greens in a regular big bowl or big pot. So now what I'm gonna do is cut my collard greens up and
unknown caller.
So like I was saying, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the collard greens up, wash them, and then put them in the pot. These are the whole leaves. So what I like to do is cut the spine out of them, and then I like to shred mine in small pieces. I don't like the big leafy greens. I find that they're easier to eat this way when you have them shredded versus cut. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove the spine out of here, so I have nothing but leaves. These are some really nice big leaves too. You can also buy the collard greens already pre-cut and washed, so to speak, even though I still would wash them myself again, but for your convenience, so you don't have to do this. But you pay a little bit more for getting them already pre-cut and pre-washed, and you don't get as much. So I like doing it the old school way. So we'll be right back after I finish cutting up all of these. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, since I've deveined the leaves, what I like to do is take them and roll them up, get them all together like this, so they're all the same, about the same size, in the same way. Take them and roll them up like you're rolling a cigar. Just like that, and just slice them thin. Just like that. To me, the greens are a lot more tender, and they don't take as long to get done when you're slicing them thin like this. Kind of almost like you're shredding, but not as small as a shred. Then what I like to do also is go back over them and cut them in half after I do the shred. And then just drop them in my water. Alright, put in the last bunch. This is a big bunch. Hopefully they'll roll without any problems. Now we can always improvise. And as you can see, looked like there was a lot of greens from those 2 bunches that I had, but once they cook down, they probably will cook down to about 2.5, maybe 3 quarts, if that much. All right, then I go ahead and cut them in half. And go ahead and throw them in the water. All right, so now that I got them in the water, whoops. What I'll do is add more water to it and let them soak for like about 10-15 minutes and stir them around. You want to fill the sink up with the water, because what's going to happen is if there's any sand or grit, it'll actually float to the bottom of the sink. So you want to make sure that these are fully covered to a point where the water in the sink is almost filled to the top. So there'll be plenty of room for the greens to, for the grit and the dirt from the greens to sink to the bottom. So we'll fill that up. Let those soak for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we're back. As you can see, I have my smoked turkey and its broth in my big stock pot. What I'm going to do now is actually go ahead and take the greens out of the water and put them in the pot. Like I said before, all the sand and dirt is floated to the bottom of the sink. And also, like I was saying, once these cook down, because this doesn't look like a lot at all, this probably actually only make about two quarts maybe, which is cool because this is enough for me because it's just me here by myself. So I'll cook these, and then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll make a really large pot of greens, and then I'll get my freezing containers once they're finished, let them cool down, and then I'll put them in the plastic freezing containers and freeze them. So whenever I want some greens, I can actually take them out. I'll freeze them like in quart-sized containers. That way, every time you want greens, you don't have to actually make a meal if it's just you by yourself, or if you have a small family, or if people in your family don't eat greens. There's a lot of people that don't eat them. So also, when I was growing up, the way the greens were cooked was with salt pork as well. I didn't use that in mine. Basically what they would do is cook the salt pork by boiling it for a while to boil some of the salt off of it. And then once it's finished, just like when you're adding the greens to the broth from the smoked turkey or ham hocks, whichever one you choose to use, that's when the salt pork that's been boiled. They take it out of that salty water and put it in here and finish cooking it. Alright, so now that I have all the greens in the pot, as you can see, that really didn't fill up the pot at all. And once these start cooking, they'll cook down. It won't be much at all. So we're going to move these over to the stove. And what I'm going to do, turn the stove on high to get it boiling. And these are probably going to cook for about 3 hours. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of oil, which I'm using extra virgin olive oil. Some people like to use bacon grease This is a healthier way of doing it. Also, about a tablespoon of regular vinegar or whatever you choose. This is actually a pomegranate vinegar. Zoom that in. It's pomegranate. I'm going to use about a tablespoon. And then I've actually put together a mixture of seasonings, which involves a little brown sugar, regular iodized salt, seasoning salt, pepper, a little onion powder, garlic powder, or actually granulated onion, granulated garlic, and some accent, as well as the Badia seasoning that I use too. And what I'll do with that is just go ahead and pour it in the greens. And then we'll go ahead and stir this up. Let these cook down some. After they cook down some, then I'll come back and stir it. And the seasonings will go down to the bottom. We'll be back after a while. Alright, as you can see, they're starting to sweat down a little bit. So I was able to stir up the seasonings. As you can see, the smoked turkey falling off the bone. I use the smoked turkey just for the seasoning of the meat. I really don't care to eat the smoked turkey, but I do like the ham hocks, but I usually will try to go with the smoked turkey for a more healthier version. So, like I said before, now that these are sweated down a little bit, they're not much at all. So, these are going to cook for about at least 2 hours, maybe 2 to 3 hours, just depends upon how fast it takes for them to get tender. Like I said before, because I shredded them, they'll cook a lot faster than they would as if I cut them up in big chunks of leaves. So we'll be back after they finish cooking in a couple hours. Alright, so 3 hours later. Oh, the camera's getting fogged up. We'll step back. Alright, 3 hours later, this is what the greens look like. Nice and tender, and just enough pot liquor for the greens. Also, when you do your smoked meat, whether it's turkey or ham hocks, I usually will add 2 cups of water in with the turkey or the ham hocks when I cook them down for the couple hours, and then just use that broth to start the pot liquor for the greens. Thanks for watching. I'm also going to make some homemade cornbread, so stay tuned for that video as well. Thanks for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell at the top right hand corner of the screen to be notified each time I upload a new video. And don't forget to leave a comment below. And if you don't mind, please go ahead and share the video. Until next time, stay safe.